Welcome to Twerp's World. Today, we are talking about my top 10 haunted places in Ohio. Number 10, Staley Road, Carlisle, Ohio. Sometime in the early 1800s, pioneer John Wrench engaged the services of the three Staley brothers to build a flour mill. The finished structure was to become the first double-wheeled mill in Ohio. Business was great, and after several years, Wrench had made enough money to retire and ended up selling his mill to Elias Staley. The mill was then passed down to his brother Andrew and continued to produce flour until 1905. The mill sat upon Staley Road, named for the brothers. It is believed in legend that Old Man Staley went on a murderous rampage and is now haunting the road that winds through the woods. Motorists say that they often experience unexplained car trouble, and some have even seen Staley's ghost standing next to or lying in the road. It has become a rite of passage for local teens who drive on this road at night as a demonstration of their courage. Number 9. Majestic Theater, Chillicothe, Ohio. Since the Majestic Theater was built back in 1852, it has earned itself a reputation as one of the most haunted locations that Ohio has to offer. It was originally the Masonic Opera House, and during the 1918 influenza epidemic, the overflow of corpses was stored there. It is said that blood and vital fluids from the bodies was pumped into the alley to the rear of the building, earning it the nickname Blood Alley. There are lots of spooky tales that have been told about the various ghosts that haunt the theater. The most commonly cited ghost has been named Elizabeth, and is said to be a young woman. On one occasion, she was recorded in the theater asking, "How do I get out of here?" There are also plenty of shadow figures and strange mists seen in the auditorium and the night room up on the second floor. It is a popular place to capture photographs with strange orbs. Number 8. Woodlawn Cemetery, Dayton, Ohio. If you visit Woodlawn Cemetery in Dayton, Ohio, by day, then the word that you would probably choose to describe it would be picturesque. The burial ground doubles as an arboretum, and it boasts wonderful selection of trees shading the pathways that meander around Lake Goose. However, by night, Woodlawn Cemetery takes on a much creepier feel. Many witnesses have reported a female spirit who is usually described as wearing a red shirt and jeans with a blue sweater around her waist. She is said to wander forlornly through the trees. Other spirits that are seen here include a young boy and his dog. They are said to have drowned in the canal after the boy fell in and his dog attempted to rescue him. Many people are so touched by the tale that they leave trinkets at his memorial, and some say that they have heard the boy sobbing and his dog whining. Number 7. Mudhouse Mansion, Lancaster, Ohio. Mudhouse Mansion, or the Hartman Place as it is known locally, is an abandoned brick mansion built in the mid-1800s. It has long been believed that the house holds some very sinister secrets. This belief is fueled by the fact that the current owner is highly protective of the property and aggressively presses charges against any trespassers. Locals have taken this as confirmation that there is indeed something to hide. According to legend, the original owner was a cruel master to his servants and kept them in foul conditions in the building's basement. However, one night the servants escaped and murdered the family in their beds. Another owner is said to have murdered his wife before committing suicide because she was having an affair. Yet another tale suggests that it was in fact the wife who murdered her own children. There is no telling which of these tales is accurate, but there are certainly multiple restless spirits walking the halls of this abandoned mansion. Number 6. The Civic Theater, Akron, Ohio. The Civic Theater, or Lowe's Theater as it once was known, was designed by a Viennese architect named John Everson. One of its most famous features is that the ceiling can rotate, and it is designed to look like the night sky. One of the ghosts is believed to be the spirit of a young woman who committed suicide by jumping into the canal behind the theater. She has been seen standing at the edge weeping. Another of the resident ghosts is the spirit of a janitor named Fred, who was a longtime employee of the theater. He is said to attack anyone who makes a mess in his bathrooms. Finally, the third spirit is a male entity who sits in the balcony. Nobody knows who he is, but he is clearly distinguishable from Fred, thanks to the fact that he is so well dressed. Number 5. Sedumsville Rectory, Cincinnati, Ohio. Sedumsville Rectory is one of the most notorious haunted locations in Ohio. It is over 100 years old and originally housed local priests from the Cincinnati area. Somewhere along the way, it apparently became the place where bad priests were placed. There are rumors of child abuse, dog fighting connected to the property. In 2011, a couple purchased the property and began a restoration project, only to discover that the building had some otherworldly guests, including a demonic spirit who has affected them both profoundly. The property has been exorcised on occasion, but with no effect. It is now a popular spot for paranormal investigations. Number 4. Lafayette Hotel, Marietta, Ohio. The Lafayette Hotel was actually built on the ruins of another hotel, the Bellevue, which burned down in 1916. The Lafayette opened in 1918 and was managed by a man named Reno Hogue. He died in 1944 and passed the job down to his son, S. Durward Hogue. It wasn't until Durward passed on that paranormal activity at the hotel began, leading many to surmise that it is his ghost that haunts the third floor of the property. Lights flicker and bulbs shatter on their own. The elevator behaves strangely and will often travel up to the roof on its own. As well as the ghost of Durward, guests have noted a female apparition in Edwardian attire sitting in the Riverview Lounge. Number 3. The Bisman Building, Mansfield, Ohio. Built in 1886 by the same architect that designed the Ohio State Reformatory, it's of little wonder that its eerie facade bears such a striking resemblance. It doesn't just share its physical appearance with the Reformatory, but it also shares a film appearance too. Shawshank Redemption, perhaps one of the greatest movies of all time, used this as a filming location too. If you have seen the film, the building was used as the entrance to the Brewer Hotel. Not only has it made appearances in film, but it has also been the focus of numerous paranormal TV shows. The reports of paranormal here are rife with a common feeling of dread and sadness, particularly on the third floor. Many people report an overwhelming sensation of darkness when on this floor. Disembodied footsteps, voices being poked and pushed, black shadows and dark figures caught in images are some of the more common occurrences. On past investigations here, investigators have received audible responses to their questions. One particular piece of audio evidence was when an investigator asked if they could speak to Ruthie, and a voice was caught saying, "Is Ruthie here?" In addition, people have witnessed the spirit of a woman throughout the upper floors, people in Victoria clothing, and sounds of people working. Number 2. Ridges Asylum, Athens, Ohio. Ridges Asylum originally opened in 1874 and was known as the Athens Asylum for the Insane. It had 2 wings, one for the female patients and one for the male patients. The most violent patients were housed in the outermost tips of each wing. By the start of the 1900s, the asylum had become dangerously overcrowded, and rumors of inhumane treatment at the hands of overworked staff were building. However, the asylum lasted longer than many from the same time. It was not officially closed until 1993. Some parts of the building are still in use, while other areas lie abandoned. One of the most chilling sights is the outline of a body, which remains where Margaret Schilling died in 1979. She apparently got lost in the disused part of the hospital in the winter of 78 and 79, and was not found for more than a month. When the corpse was eventually removed, it left a stain that could never be washed away. She is one of the many ghosts who is said to walk the asylum at night. There is also a cemetery on the grounds which holds over 2,000 bodies, and is said to have several spirits of its own. And number 1, the Ohio State Reformatory, Mansfield, Ohio. The Ohio State Reformatory served as a reformatory for young offenders starting in 1886, before becoming an adult prison, which remained in operation until December of 1990. During its operation, it was home to some of the most violent prisoners in the country. One of the most brutal punishments used at the prison was to throw an inmate in the hole, a dark and claustrophobic solitary confinement cell, for up to a month at a time. The prison is now regarded by many as the most haunted buildings in Ohio, with a wide variety of paranormal activity, including apparitions, unexplained noises, and a malevolent presence in the hole. It's very high on the list of haunted prisons in the country as well. I also have a personal story. The first time in 2010, I toured the prison, Mansfield Reformatory Prison, and upon going through one of the cell blocks, I felt like something was watching me. I looked up, and at the very top of the 4th floor of the prison, you could see a very large, dark figure bent over the railing, staring down at us. Once we all looked up, the shadow figure stood up straight and ran across the catwalk. I asked the tour guide at the time who was up there. The tour guide said nobody's been up there for probably 10 years. The catwalk is so deteriorated and rusted that there's no way that a person could walk upon it. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.